Astatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhara Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishto Vishnupad Paramahams Astatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Balavatirtha Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Dvaita Madhav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhara Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Vaishnava Sarvabhaum Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Charya Baladevi Vibhusan Prabhu ki jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Srila Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Trai ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sada Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Srila Swarup Damodar Roy Ramananda Adi Gaur Parsada Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sigaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Navadvipa Dham ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gogo Vardhan Dvarashavanatmaka Shri Braj Mandala Dham ki jai. Shri Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhana ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Shri Jagannatha Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakrajiv ki jai. Jai Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Shri Nrsingadev ki jai. Bhakta Prabhra Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Charadam Charu Sampradaya Charu Acharya ki jai. Akaramataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Orananya Shaka Mat Samuha ki jai. Shri Vishva Vaishnav Raj Sabha ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Tribhuvana Pavana Harinam Samkirtana ki jai. Tribhuvana Mangala Harinama Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra ki jai. Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai. Shri Nityananda Mahajana ki jai. Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kartik Mas ki jai. The full moon day Purnima ki jai. Kartiki Devi Shrimati Radharani ki jai. Urja Devi Shrimati Radharani ki jai. Shri Damodar Masa ki jai. Shri Niyama Seva ki jai. Shri Damodar Vrata ki jai. Kartik Vrata ki jai. Urja Vrata ki jai. Shri Braj Mandala Parikrama ki jai. Shri Braj Mandala Parikrama ki jai. Shri Braj Mandala Parikrama ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srila Gurudev's transcendental Kartik festival Braj Mandala Parikrama ki jai. Jai Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hansagati Prabhu? Can you call up Braj and Gopanandini, tell them we're broadcasting? Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Chise Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. On this most auspicious evening, you can see the moon is full. It looks very full, especially up here. You can see it so clearly. I'm having this program to do Mangala Charana, to bring auspiciousness for this whole next month, to discuss what is the importance of Braj Mandala Parikrama. What are the benefits? Why did all of our acharyas do this? Why did even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself go on Parikrama of all the 12 forests of Braj? So tomorrow is the first day, and we will be starting all the vratas and the recitation of all the different ashtakams and so forth, doing kirtan and hearing, because we cannot physically go to those places in Braj Mandala, but in mind we can go. This will have to be done. If someone, devotee, does not understand the importance of doing this in the month of Kartik, and they just, like ordinary month, then they don't get so much benefit. But if someone does, they get tremendous benefit. So, I'm first of all offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, who brought the whole world to Vrindavan, to Mayapur. He built the temples there. He gave the pastimes of Krishna in the 10th canto, his summary of 10th canto in the Krishna book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He gave Krishna to the whole world. So, without his mercy and blessings, none of us would know about Krishna. None of us would be worshipping Krishna. None of us would know about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his pastimes and his instructions, Gauravani. So I have millions of obeisances that the lotus feet of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And then I'm also offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa Asto Tarasata, Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sri Dhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa Asto Tarasata, Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And these two personalities drowned the whole world in Krishna Katha, and for centuries in the future, millions and millions of people will hear their Katha, read their books, associate with this Gaudiya Guru Varga, Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, and attain perfection of life. So our Gurudev, I was very fortunate to be with him from 1994 on Braj Mandala Parikrama, Kartik month in Braj Mandala, every year until he departed in 2010. And then every year after that as well. There was only 1 year that I chose to follow Srila Gurudev's instruction to be here in Los Angeles at the Rose Temple that we used to have, to try to help that project. So I sacrificed my going to India for Kartik that year, 2009. But every other year I was there. And this will be the first year that I'm not there. So there's a sadness in my heart that I cannot be there. But Krishna is the supreme controller. He always has his plan, and we have to simply embrace what is Krishna's will. And but nevertheless, I cannot help but feel so much separation from being there. And so this is the first year that I'll be away from there. But I want to be in the mood as we are there. So therefore we have to be hearing and chanting and following and also studying and trying to increase all of our devotional activity as much as possible. So Srila Sanatana Goswami, in his Hari Bhakti Vilas, there are so many instructions there how to follow this vrata in the month of Kartik. Do you know what is the significance of this month of Kartik, which is also called Damodar month? Do you know what the significance is? Well, tell whatever you know. And then you'll hear a lot more.
I actually don't know.
Okay, that's good. That this month now we're really gonna churn it. The Gurudev would speak on the first day of Kartik or the day before, like now, the day before Kartik begins. And he would talk about how all very important pastimes of Krishna took place in the month of Kartik. Like, for example, this Damodar Leela, Krishna stealing butter and Mother Yashoda binding. The month is called Damodar, of the 12 months, the Vaishnava month. This month also called Kartik. But Damodar month that's why every day during the Kartik month, we sing the very important and very famous Damodar Astakam. So then we'll be reading and studying beautiful commentary, because Sanatana Goswami has written a commentary, and Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj has also elaborated in that book. Gurudev has brought their commentaries into his book that is published, Damodar Ashtakam. I'm going to be reading from that in the mornings, and other devotees will also. So every day, that Damodar Ashtakam has to be sung and lamps offered to Krishna every single day of the month of Damodar, not to miss a single day. Also during this month of Kartik, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. That's why around the middle of Kartik is the Anakut festival. Yes, exactly as described in the 10th canto. That famous pastime where Krishna protected all the Brajvasis is there. And many demons were also killed by Krishna during the month of Kartik. So I'm going to now begin to read. Oh, I also have to say my Dandavat pranams to all my Rupa Guru Varga. And my Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis everywhere. Yes. So, the Braj Mandala Parikrama book. There is one shloka which is being quoted in the beginning of Srila Gurudev's book, Braj Mandala Parikrama book. You've seen that book, right? Yeah. Read it? No.
I don't think we haven't though.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, but it's also on this app. What's it called? Bhakti something. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 21st chapter of 10th canto, Gurudev is choosing this verse, which is spoken by the gopis when they were glorifying Krishna's flute. This is the 10th verse of the 21st chapter. They're glorifying Vrindavan. So they're telling amongst themselves, Vrindavanam Saki Bhuvo Vitanoti Kirtim Yad Devaki Sutta Padam Bhujalabda Lakshmi Govinda Venum Anumatta Mayura Nrityam Prekshadri San Vavaratanya Samasta Satpam. So the gopis are speaking amongst themselves. You know that book. Gurudev also gave the Veda-gita book, the whole chapter, which is the first of the 5 songs spoken by the gopis in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Those 5 songs are the pinnacle. One is the Veda-gita, another is the Gopi-gita, when Krishna disappeared from the rasa dance. That's also in Kartik month. Yes. And the first day, which is tomorrow, is the day of that rasa dance. So they're telling amongst themselves, many, each Saki, each gopi is telling, oh, Krishna plays his flute, and this is what happens. You know, even the cows, their ears come, and they're chewing. But when they hear Krishna's flute, their mouth goes open, and their ears come up like cups to catch the sound of Krishna's flute. Such a beautiful chapter, the Veda-gita. So, Gopi is telling, oh Saki, because they're speaking to each other, oh Saki, the fame of the earth is enhanced, having been splendidly decorated with the marks of Sri Krishna's lotus feet. Upon hearing Krishna's flute song, the peacocks take it to be the thunder of the clouds, and becoming intoxicated, the peacocks begin to dance. When the other animals in the meadows of Govardhan see this, the dancing of the peacocks, they also feel pleasure and they become stunned. Thus, the presence of Sri Vrindavan on the earth makes this planet even more glorious than Vaikuntha. So this is Gurudev's introduction now to the first Hindi edition, because Gurudev published in Hindi before he published in English. So Gurudev is telling here, in 1946, I took shelter of the lotus feet of my most worshipful spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. His disappearance day is tomorrow. You know that, right? Yes. From that time, by his causeless mercy, I received the good fortune to travel with him. On many occasions, I was highly blessed to perform parikrama and have darshan of sacred places, tirthas, throughout all of India. So Gurudev actually traveled all over India. We visited places such as Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's birthplace, Mayapur Yoga Peeth. We visited the islands of Sri Dam Navadvip, the pastime places and other sacred places of Gauda Mandala, Vaidyanath Devghara, Mandara Madhusudan, Gaya, these are famous tirthas in India, Gaya, Kashi, Prayag, Ayodhya, Naimisharanya, Devaghara, the places Sriman Mahaprabhu visited in South India, Dwarka, and other places of pilgrimage of West India, Ajanta Ellora of Central India, the sacred places of Rajasthan, such as Jaipur and Ajmer, and all the pastime places of Braj Mandala. Furthermore, after Srila Gurudev left this world to enter his unmanifest pastimes, I was fortunate enough to again visit and perform parikrama of these sacred pastime places several times under the guidance of the Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. Above all, however, I received the great opportunity of performing Braja Mandala Parikrama on foot each year with my most worshipful Holy Master and some 500 faithful devotees. Srila Gurudev entrusted the responsibility of serving Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math to me in 1954. That's the one in Mathura. So since then, I have annually been performing Braj Mandala Parikrama with the brahmacharis of Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math and some of the many devout and respectable residents of Mathura. Thus, I have been fortunate to have performed Braj Mandala Parikrama more than 50 times in over 50 years. But actually, in the end, the number was, because he began to do this from like 1947. So till he departed in 2010, Gurudev was always, in the latter years, he didn't walk on the parikrama, but sometimes he would come by car to meet us at different places that we were going. So how many years is that? 50, about 60 years actually. Yeah. So, after the disappearance of Srila Gurudev, I gave lectures during Sri Braj Mandala Parikrama on the pastime places and also on their glories. A short compilation of these lectures was published in English a few years ago in a book entitled Sri Braj Mandala Parikrama. So that's the first English book that ever came out of Gurudev's. We knew about that back in the 1980s. That book came out in the late 1980s. And one Western devotee had taped Gurudev's Katha on the Parikrama. Jagannath Das, his name. And he, American devotee, so he published that first version of the Brajmandala Parikrama book. So that's how we first, in fact, that's the first Katha that I read from Gurudev back in the late 1980s. And Pran Kishore had also a connection with Gurudev at that time, Tirthapada Prabhu and others. So that book, although it was very, very nice, but his full, unabridged Brajmandala Parikrama book, which I'm reading now, this was published many years later. So Gurudev is talking about that first version that he published in English. He said this book was highly regarded by faithful persons in India and abroad, and all copies quickly sold. Time and again, devotees from all parts of the world asked for it to be reprinted, with yet more pastime places to cover the entire Braj Mandala. I could not ignore their requests, and I attempted to fulfill their desire. But then I left India, and I began traveling round the world to countries big and small, to preach pure bhakti as taught and practiced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I was writing other books on bhakti at the time, and I was suffering recurrent poor health, so I could not complete the task. So after returning from preaching abroad in July of 1999, I wanted to finally finish the book, but once again, I was obstructed by sudden ill health. So under these circumstances, I decided to present myself at the lotus feet of Srimad Mahaprabhu Sachinandan Gaur Hari in the Gambira. You know what the Gambira is? It's the room that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived in the entire, especially the last 18 years in Jagannath Puri. So that room is called Gambira. And also there's Haridas Thakur's Siddha Bakul, the place where he stayed and chanted his 3 lakhs of Harinam every day in Puri. So, and also there is the Tota Gopinath temple, that's the deity that Sri Gadadhar Pandit served. So Gurudev is saying that he kept on trying, to publish the book and finish it, and ill health came and all that. So now I decided to present myself at the lotus feet of Srimad Mahaprabhu Sachinandana Gaura Hari in the Gambira, at the lotus feet of Sri Haridas Thakur at Siddha Bakul, and at the lotus feet of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, the potency of Srimad Mahaprabhu at Tota Gopinath in Sri Jagannath Puri. I resolved to complete this book there, only by their mercy. So I stayed in Puri Dham for some time, and on the Vishwarup Mahotsav, 25th of September, 1999, I completed Sri Brajmandala Parikrama book. I have based this book, and this is very important what he's going to say now. Where is he getting the information from about all these pastime places and everything? I have based this book on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Ratnakara. Have you heard of that book? By Narahari Chakravarti. Bhakti Ratnakara is a very authoritative biographical literature, like Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita, they're biographies of Mahaprabhu. But this book, Bhakti Ratnakara, it's written after the disappearance and after the Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita were written. So this book, it tells so much about the the second wave, we call it, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasacharya, and all the Vaishnavas and what was happening after Mahaprabhu's disappearance. And there were certain parikramas in that book that were done of Braj Mandala. Yes. So Narahari Chakravarti, the author, he has depicted the entire Braj Mandala parikrama with, can't remember at this moment. So that's one of the books, that is the reference for Gurudev's book. Then another book is called Braja Bhakti Vilas by Sri Narayan Bhatta. So Narayan Bhatta is very well known in Braj Mandala. He was also a very great devotee in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he very much detailed all the different pastime places all over Braj Mandala in his book, Braja Bhakti Vilas. And then Gurudev said, and especially I have based this book, Braj Mandala Parikrama, upon another book, which is called Braj Mandala Darshan, and also in parentheses Parikrama. Braj Mandala Darshan, that was compiled by Sri Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj of Kusum Surovara. So that one, this Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, very high level, Rasik Mahabhagavad Vaishnava. And he lived in Braj and he compiled. So he said, Gurudev said, I have also collected various references to different pastimes from the actual pastimes, right? From which book? Govinda Lilamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. What is Govinda Lilamrita telling?
The daily eightfold pastimes
yes,
of Lord
in
Krishna.
detail. So a lot of Gurudev's Katha is coming from that book. And also, there's another book, which is also full version of Krishna's eightfold pastime Ashtakali Lila by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And that book is titled Krishna Bhavanamrita. So he also has written. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote Govinda Lilamrita, Krishna Bhavanamrita composed by Vraja Rasa Rasika, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And then there are also various works of the Goswamis. So this is Gurudev is telling. This is what my book is based upon, all of these authoritative texts. So in this regard, I remember my spiritual master, Paramaradhya Ashtatarashata, Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, by whose mercy I received everything on the subject of Braj Mandala Parikrama and the many pastime places in Braj. I have strung these recollections together with references to the pastime places from the various literary works. Before meeting my holy master and receiving his causeless mercy, my life was void. That's how he ends his introduction. He says, begging for a particle of the mercy of Sri Guru, Sri Bhaktivedanta Narayan, Sri Sharad Purnima, Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj's disappearance day, that's tomorrow. Sharad Purnima, and this was 13th of October in the year 2000 that he wrote this introduction. Beautiful.
Right.
So we only have a few more minutes before you guys take your chariot back.
Yes.
So I'm just going to read the preface to the first English edition. And this preface is short, and it's written by Shanti Dasi, who was very much involved in doing the editing, and she's describing how the English version of the book came. So I think I can finish it in this 5 minutes. You know Shanti Dasi, she's from one of the European, I think Sweden. Yeah, and she's been living in Braj ever since the early 90s. One of the ladies that is wearing white and is renounced, and very wonderful Vaishnavi. She did so much service for Gurudev's publications. So, this is the preface. For those sincere devotees who deeply desire to enter into the sweetness of Sri Brajadam, this book is a cause for great joy. It takes the faithful reader on an extraordinary journey through Vraj, following the same general route taken annually on Sri Braj Mandala Parikrama. So, actually, we were also reading all the time, because Gurudev would have us stand up and speak. But to know what to speak, we'd have to look at the Braj Mandala Parikrama book, and try to remember as much as possible. So Sri Braj Mandala Parikrama was inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Where's that? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in detail. Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada re-established it in October of 1932. And his dearmost disciple, Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, sustained it in the decades that followed. Our beloved spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, has been guiding pilgrims on this parikrama since 1954, thus fulfilling the inner heart's desire of all the acharyas in our line. The Western world was first introduced to Sri Braj Mandala Parikrama by the causeless mercy of Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, who founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in July 1966, and he spread the teachings of Srimad Mahaprabhu to every corner of the globe. For more than 20 years, Western devotees have been helped to gain a further appreciation of Sri Brajadam by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, who emphasizes the value of trying to deeply enter Srila Rupa Goswami's teachings on bhakti. This English translation of Sri Braj Mandala Parikrama is another of the priceless gems that he is giving to the English-speaking world. This volume is basically a direct translation of the Hindi edition with some slight changes to the order of the material, mostly to provide greater continuity. We were guided in our efforts by our dear Gurudev, as well as by Srimad Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj, Srimad Pundarik Das Brahmachari, and Srimad Madhavapriya Das Brahmachari. You know Madhavapriya. So this rendition of Sri Braj Mandala Parikrama, it is not meant as a catalog of information or data. Rather, it is meant to stir the heart of the faithful and inquisitive readers, inspiring them to understand more deeply the sweet Braja pastimes of the divine couple, Shri Radha Krishna, having directly heard them, spoken from the lips of a pure Vaishnava. I am grateful to Janaki Dasi for translating Sri Braj Mandala Parikrama into English. She was assisted by Manjulali Dasi and Gaur Hari Das. Vaijayanti Mala Dasi and Sundar Gopal Das edited the text and helped in various ways to bring this book to print. The manuscript was proofread by Vichitri Dasi, Manjari Dasi, and many others. Krishna Karunya Das Brahmachari did the layout. Photographs for the book are courtesy of Hemant Kumar, Kaliya Damana Das, Sarada Dasi, Rupa Raghunath Das Brahmachari, Bhakta Charles, and others. I would also like to extend my thanks to Nanda Kishore Das, who is now currently known as Tridandi Maharaj. Right? He was named Nanda Kishore before. Also Purandara Das Brahmachari, who is now known as Nishringa Maharaj. Srimati Uma Didi, who has traveled the world. Vrindavan Vilasini Dasi. Sudarshan Das, Kishore Krishna Das, who's left his body, but he was a real computer total whiz.
Didn't he start Pure Bhakti?
Huh?
Didn't he start
Yes,
Pure Bhakti?
he's the one that started Pure Bhakti. He had his own company. Amazing, nice, wonderful devotee. Humble, very humble. You have the same name, right?
Yeah.
Kishore Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes, not Krishna Kishore.
No.
Yeah. Also Atul Krishna Das and Srinivas Das for their valuable help. I also want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the devotees in the Mathura Math under the guidance of Srimad Premananda Das Brahmachari, who are always supporting the Western devotees by providing Harikatha, prasad, lodging, and their hospitality in general. Finally, I want to thank Radhakanta Das, here in the Bay Area, Ratikala Dasi, his wife, and Ramakanta Das from England, who was in a wheelchair. He had an accident and became paralyzed from the waist down, but he gave lots of money to help all these different projects. All of these devotees, their generous financial contributions made this production possible. I humbly beg our readers to overlook any imperfections they might find within this book. Anything that is pleasing and that touches the heart is the result of the mercy of our spiritual master, and any errors are due to my own inadequacies, aspiring to serve Sri Guru and Vaishnavas Shanti Dasi. Just on time, I finished it.
Very nice.
So anyway, you're coming tomorrow, right?
Yes.
For the program.
Yeah.
And we're going to churn the nectar. This has inspired me. I'm glad you came tonight because I wasn't going to give a class tonight, but this such an auspicious time, it shouldn't be lost, you know. The timing is very important because this is Kartik time at Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj. You know how much he emphasized that all these sacred and important days and disappearance and appearance, they must be celebrated on the day, right? And then so much mercy can come. But like, for me to do this now, and this will be going on the whole month, is I'll just be so immersed in all the impressions that I have of all those years and all the Katha and everything. So you gave me a chance to discuss. Maybe a few devotees also were able to tune in. So I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to our Guru Varga, and especially to Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj for giving us this Brajmandala Prikrama book, and all the acharyas from whom he received all of his blessings and inspiration to give this book. Gaur Premananda. Jai Shri Brajmandala Prikrama ki Jai. Jai Shri Kartik Month ki Jai. Damodar Month ki Jai. All the Vaishnavas throughout the world observing Kartik ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Brindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay. You are now excused. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna. Radha Kunda Jaya Shama Kunda Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinodhi Hari Ji Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Govinath Madan Mohan Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Satarani Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Niti Namane Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayani Te Namani Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audaurya Madhurya Ganaishtra Yuktam Varam Varanyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirasha Namami Bandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupa Nuga Pravaram Vraja Rasa Rasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapannam Gurve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Whoever has tuned in, please continue to tune in. We'll try to broadcast morning and also evening for this whole month of Kartik beginning tomorrow. The morning broadcast on Pacific West Coast America time will start at 7:30 with Kirtan and the chanting of the various ashtakams, Radhakrita Kataksha Stavaraj, the Nandanandan Ashtakam, and also Sri Damodar Ashtakam, offering of lamps. And that will be done every morning and evening. Morning starting at 7:30, evening starting at 5 p.m. And there will be the class starting at 8 o'clock a.m. for 1 hour. We'll be also studying in the morning the Damodar Ashtakam book by our worshipable Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And in the evenings, we'll be studying the Braj Mangala Parikrama book. There will be starting the Kirtan and offering of the lamps during the month of Kartik every evening before that class. And from 5:30 till 6:30, that class will go on in the evening, and we will be going on the Braj Mangala Parikrama through Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam. And then at 6:30, then is our evening Sandhya Artik, and that will be completed with the Tulsi Parikrama in the evening. And this will go on for the whole month of Kartik. Of course, there are very special festival days during the month of Kartik, and many important, very important appearance and disappearance days. And especially very prominent is tomorrow, the disappearance day of our most worshipable, beloved Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. He disappeared on the day of Sharad Purnima. Sharad Purnima means the autumn full moon day in which Krishna performed his first rasa dance. So that is tomorrow. Tune in, don't miss it. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.